They didn't just tow my yacht. They didn't just find me. They didn't even give me a final warning. They destroyed it. Completely. A $10 million yacht. Reduced to nothing more than twisted metal, shattered glass, and floating debris slowly sinking into the water. And the reason? Unauthorized docking. Yeah, that's what they called it. A simple violation in their eyes. Just another rule being enforced. But what makes this story unbelievable isn't what they did. It's where they did it. Because they didn't destroy my yacht on some random public dock. They didn't take it from a stranger's property. They destroyed it. Inside my own marina. And the people responsible? They had absolutely no idea who they were dealing with. Let me take you back. Back to where this all began. Because nothing about that day started with chaos. Nothing started with conflict. It started with silence, peace, and a calm morning that felt almost too perfect. Like the world was holding its breath before something big was about to happen. The ocean that day was unusually still. No waves crashing aggressively. No harsh wind cutting through the air. Just a soft, endless calm. The kind of calm you only get early in the morning, when the world hasn't fully woken up yet. The sky was clear, wide open, and the sunlight reflected off the water like a sheet of glass. Golden, warm, perfect. I remember standing on the deck of my yacht, just watching it all, not thinking about money, not thinking about business, not thinking about anything at all, just existing in that moment. Because after long trips at sea, moments like this feel rare. Precious, almost sacred. I had just returned from a long journey. Days out in open water. Far from cities. Far from noise. Far from people asking questions. Or expecting answers. Out there, it's just you and the ocean. And the ocean doesn't lie to you. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't judge. It just is. That's why I liked it. Because life on land is never that simple. As I approached the marina, everything looked exactly as it always did. Familiar docks. Familiar structures. Familiar rhythm. Boats gently swaying in place. Workers moving around in the distance. The usual morning routine. Nothing unusual. Nothing alarming. Nothing that would make you think, today is going to change everything. I had docked here countless times before. Hundreds, maybe. It was routine. Second nature. Something I could do even without thinking. And that morning, I planned to do the same thing. Pull in. Secure the vessel. Step off. And go about my day. Simple, clean, normal. But for some reason, that morning, I made a different choice. A small one. Almost meaningless. I decided to use a different slip. Not because my usual one was taken. Not because there was an issue. Not because I was forced to. But simply because I felt like it. Sometimes in life, we make decisions that seem so small. We don't even realize they could change everything. And at that moment, I didn't think twice about it. Not even for a second. Because in my mind, there was no reason to. I wasn't a guest here. I wasn't a stranger trying to find space. I wasn't someone hoping for permission. I was part of this place. Not in a symbolic way. Not in a metaphor. But in reality. Because I own the marina. Every dock. Every slip. Every inch of water inside it. All of it. Mine. But here's something important you need to understand. I don't live my life like that. I don't walk around announcing ownership. I don't wear expensive suits just to prove a point. I don't surround myself with people just to feel important. Most people who see me, see just another man, another yacht owner. Nothing special, nothing threatening. And that's exactly how I want it. Because I learned something early in life. Power doesn't need noise. Real power is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand attention. It simply exists. And when the time comes, it reveals itself. So I kept my life simple. Low profile. No unnecessary attention. No arrogance. No need to prove anything to anyone. Because the moment people think they know who you are, they stop treating you like a human being and start treating you like a label. Rich, powerful, important, or worse, a target. And that decision, to stay quiet, to stay unnoticed, to stay normal, is exactly what led me to that day. The day everything started to fall apart. I had barely stepped off my yacht when I heard footsteps. Fast, heavy, direct, coming down the dock toward me. Not casual walking, not relaxed movement. Urgent steps, purposeful, like someone had been waiting for this exact moment. I turned slowly, and that's when I saw him. A man in his mid-40s. Polo shirt slightly wrinkled, clipboard in hand, pen already ready like he had been writing complaints all morning. The kind of person who looks like authority is something they've been waiting their whole life to have. He stopped right in front of me. didn't hesitate, didn't introduce himself properly, just spoke, loudly, sharply, with confidence that didn't feel earned. "Sir, you can't dock here." His voice echoed slightly over the water, sharp enough to cut through the calm atmosphere. I looked at him, not shocked, not angry, just observing, like I was trying to understand the situation before reacting. "And why not?" I asked calmly. He stepped closer, pointing at the slip, like I had committed a violation he had been personally waiting to catch. "This area is reserved. HOA regulations. You are not authorized to be here." I slowly looked around. At the docks. At the water. At the boats. Then back at him. Everything looked normal. Too normal for this level of aggression. "I think I'm okay," I said calmly. That's when something changed in him. I saw it instantly. The shift in expression. From authority to irritation. Like my calm response offended him more than any argument could. "No, you're not okay," he said firmly. "You need to move your yacht immediately." Now here's the moment everything could have ended. Right there. In seconds. I could have stopped it. I could have made one call. One sentence. One explanation. And everything would have been cleared. But I didn't. Because something about him was off. It wasn't about safety. It wasn't about rules. It was about control. About power. About proving something. And I wanted to see where it went. So I looked at him, paused for a moment, and simply said, "Go ahead." Then I turned away and walked back toward my yacht. And that moment, that small decision, that silence instead of confrontation, that patience instead of reaction, that's where everything changed. Because some people, when they are given even a small amount of authority, don't know how to handle it. They don't pause. They don't verify. They don't question themselves. They escalate. And this man, he was exactly that kind of person. Within minutes, the atmosphere around the marina started to shift. Footsteps increased. Voices multiplied. People started gathering, watching, observing, judging, like something important was happening. And I could feel it, without even turning around. This wasn't over. Not even close. The calm morning was gone, and something else was beginning. What happened next escalated faster than I expected, and not in a good way. At first, everything still felt controlled, quiet, almost routine. But that illusion didn't last long, because about an hour later, the atmosphere at the marina had completely changed. The dock wasn't quiet anymore. It wasn't peaceful. It wasn't normal. Now it was active, busy, tense, and filled with movement that didn't belong there just a few hours earlier. 3 people, then 4, then more, all standing around my yacht, or what was still left of it at that point. And they all had the same expression, that same look, authority, judgment, and something worse than confidence. Blind certainty, the kind of certainty that doesn't ask questions, doesn't consider consequences, doesn't stop to think. The clipboard guy was there again. Of course he was. But this time, he wasn't alone. He had backup. People who clearly believed they were reinforcing something important, something official, something final. "This is the vessel," he said, pointing at my yacht like it was evidence in a courtroom, like it was a problem that needed to be removed from existence. One of the others stepped forward, older, calmer, but far more serious. The kind of person who speaks slowly because they believe every word carries weight. He adjusted his glasses slightly, looked at the yacht, then looked at me. "Sir," he began, "we've reviewed the situation. You are in violation of HOA docking regulations." No emotion, no hesitation, just a statement, like a final decision had already been made somewhere else, without me ever being part of it. I didn't respond, not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I wanted to understand how far they were willing to go. Because silence sometimes does more damage than words. It forces people to keep talking, to reveal more than they planned, to expose their thinking. And that's exactly what happened. They started listing rules, one after another, like reading from a script they had memorized too well. "This slip is privately assigned. You are not registered in the system. This docking is unauthorized. This is a violation of property regulations." Each sentence was sharper than the last, more confident, more absolute. And the way they said it, you could tell something important. They genuinely believed they were right. Completely right. No doubt in their minds. No space for error. And that's what made it dangerous. Not malice, not anger, but certainty without understanding. Then came the line that changed everything. "If you do not remove this yacht immediately, we will take action." Take action. 2 simple words. Short, clean, harmless sounding. But in reality, those are the most dangerous words in any conflict. Because they don't explain anything. They don't define limits. They don't show consequences. They just open a door. And whatever comes after is up to them. I looked at them for a moment. One by one. Slowly. Carefully. Reading their faces. Their posture. Their confidence. And then I spoke. Calm. Controlled. Almost too calm. Do whatever you think is necessary. No anger. No challenge. No emotion. Just permission. And that was it. That was the moment everything shifted. Because they didn't hesitate. They didn't question it. They didn't stop to confirm anything. They didn't even look uncomfortable. They just moved forward. Like they had been waiting for that answer. Like it validated everything they already planned to do. And that's when I realized something important. These weren't people trying to understand a situation. They were people trying to enforce control. And control, once it becomes the goal, logic disappears. The next morning, everything changed. I got a call. It wasn't long. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't detailed. Just urgent. Sharp. Direct. Sir, you need to come down here. Right now. No explanation. No context. No warning. Just urgency. And something about the tone made my stomach tighten slightly. Not fear. Not panic. But awareness. The kind you feel when you know something has already gone wrong. I didn't waste time. I got in my car and drove straight to the Marina. 15 minutes. That's all it took. But the moment I arrived, I knew before I even stepped out of the car. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The sounds hit first. Before the visuals. Machines running. Metal clanking. Voices shouting across the dock. Heavy equipment moving like something large was being handled. It didn't sound like maintenance. It didn't sound like repair. It sounded like destruction. I stepped out of the car slowly and started walking forward. Each step closer. The sound became clearer, louder, heavier, more chaotic. And then I saw it. Or what was left of it. My yacht. Gone. Not damaged. Not partially removed. Gone. In its place was wreckage. Broken panels scattered across the dock. Pieces of hull being dragged like scrap metal. Glass shattered across the surface like dust. Sections of the structure being lifted into trucks. It didn't look like an accident. It looked deliberate, controlled, organized, final. And for a moment, I stopped walking. Not because I was shocked, but because my brain needed time to process what it was seeing. Because it didn't match reality. They didn't tow it. They didn't detain it. They didn't freeze it. They destroyed it. Completely. And standing there, watching it happen, were the same people who believed they were enforcing rules. That contradiction was almost unbelievable. Then I started walking. Slowly. Step by step. Across the dock. No rush. No emotion on my face. Just movement. And the closer I got, the quieter everything around me felt. Not because it actually became quiet, but because my focus narrowed. The clipboard guy turned, saw me approaching, and smiled slightly. Like nothing important had changed. Like I had just returned from lunch. "Oh, you're back," he said. Back. That word. Back. As if I had left. As if I wasn't there the entire time. As if I wasn't the owner of what they were standing on. "Your vessel was in violation," he continued casually. "It has been handled." Handled. That word again. So simple. So clean. So disconnected from reality. I stopped walking. Looked at him. And spoke for the first time since arriving. "Do you know who owns this marina?" No emotion. No raise in voice. Just a question. He didn't even pause. Didn't even think. That's not relevant. And in that moment, everything clicked. Not just the mistake. Not just the destruction. But the mindset. This wasn't correction. This wasn't enforcement. This was arrogance disguised as authority. Blind confidence. Without awareness. Without verification. Without hesitation. And that combination is always dangerous. So I nodded slowly. Pulled out my phone. And made one call. Short. Simple. Direct. And everything after that started to change. The call lasted less than 30 seconds. That's all it took. No shouting. No frustration. No long explanation. No warning. Just a few calm words. A short pause. And then I hung up. And after that, I waited. Now here's the strange thing about moments like this. When you make a call that changes everything, the world doesn't respond immediately. It doesn't pause. It doesn't freeze. It just continues. Like nothing happened. At first. That's exactly what it felt like. The marina was still active. The same noise continued. The same machines running. The same voices shouting orders across the dock. The same people walking around like they were in control of the situation. Like nothing could challenge them. Like everything was already decided. And for a moment, it almost looked like they were right. But then, something shifted. It started small, subtle, almost unnoticeable. A black car entered the marina. Then another, and then another. No sirens. No urgency. No noise. Just presence. Sleek. Controlled. Deliberate. Black SUVs. One after another. Rolling in slowly like they already knew exactly where they were going. Like they didn't need permission. Like they didn't need guidance. Like they belonged there more than anyone else. And that's when the energy changed. Because people notice cars like that. Even before they understand them. Even before they know why they're there. The same workers who were shouting moments ago started slowing down, looking around, pointing, whispering. The same HOA officials who were confident just seconds earlier now paused, confused, uneasy, because something about those vehicles doesn't feel normal. The doors opened, one by one, and people stepped out. Not rushed, not loud, not chaotic. Controlled movement, professional posture, serious expressions, suits, legal teams, executives, people who don't enter a situation to ask questions. They enter to end them. And suddenly, the entire marina felt different. The noise didn't stop, but it faded into the background, like it no longer mattered. Because now, something bigger had arrived. My legal team, my management, my executives, people who don't react to problems. They resolve them. One of my lawyers stepped forward. No hesitation, no introduction, no wasted time. He walked directly past me, straight toward the HOA group, like they weren't even worth acknowledging yet. And then he spoke. Calm, direct, final. Who authorized the destruction of this vessel? Silence. Not confusion at first. Not panic. Just silence. Like their brains needed time to process the question. Then the clipboard guy tried to step forward. It was a violation. But he didn't even finish. My lawyer raised a hand slightly. Not aggressive. Not emotional. Just enough to stop him mid-sentence. Let me be very clear, he said. And now his voice changed. Not louder. Not angrier. Just sharper. More precise. You authorized the destruction of private property. On property owned by our client. That sentence hit harder than anything else. Because now, it wasn't about rules anymore. It wasn't about misunderstandings. It wasn't about HOA policies. It was about ownership, authority, and consequences. And you could see it happen in real time. The shift, the confidence that had been there before, started disappearing. Slowly. Then all at once. Shoulders dropped. Eyes widened slightly. Hands stopped moving. Voices disappeared. The energy completely collapsed. One of them finally spoke. Confused. Almost disbelieving. You're a client. And that's when everything paused again. Because now, the moment had arrived. I stepped forward. Not rushed. Not emotional. Not angry. Just calm. Present. Certain. I own this marina. No drama. No shouting. No explanation. Just truth. And that was enough. Because truth doesn't need volume. It doesn't need repetition. It doesn't need validation. It simply stands. And in that moment, everything changed. The same people who were giving orders were now listening. The same voices that were loud earlier were now silent. The same authority they thought they had was gone. And what replaced it was realization. Slow, heavy, uncomfortable. They didn't just make a mistake. They made a complete misjudgment of reality. And now, they were standing inside it. Legal action didn't take long. There were no debates, no discussions, no negotiations. It started immediately. Reports were filed. Evidence was gathered. Decisions were made. Fast, clean, final. Contracts were pulled out. Signatures reviewed. Authority examined. And then it started collapsing. One decision after another. One consequence after another. One responsibility after another. Until there was nothing left to defend. Positions were suspended. Access revoked. Authority removed. Investigations launched. And the people who thought they were in control were no longer in control of anything. Because this was never just about a yacht. It was about assumption. It was about ego. It was about people believing they understood a situation without ever understanding it at all. And that's the real lesson here. Power is dangerous when it's used without awareness. Authority is dangerous when it's used without understanding. And certainty is dangerous when it's built on ignorance. Because sometimes the biggest mistakes don't come from bad intentions. They come from confidence, without knowledge. And by the time people realize it, it's already too late. So let this be the lesson. Never assume. Never rush. Never act without understanding the full picture. Because the person you think is irrelevant might be the one who owns everything. And when that moment comes, there is no undo button. No second chance. No correction. Only consequence. Bell final outro, 20-minute version. If you watch this until the end, then you already understand something important. This wasn't just about a yacht. It wasn't just about an HOA. And it wasn't just about a mistake. It was about perception and how dangerous it can be when it replaces truth. So now I want to ask you something. If you were in that situation, what would you have done? Would you have stayed silent? Would you have revealed the truth early? Or would you have let it play out like I did? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because more stories like this are coming. And trust me, you don't want to miss the next one.